Hi, I'm Taraji P. Henson. Thank you to the Inwell team for your work and commitment in this healing space, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of it. As some of you may know, I have publicly shared my battle with anxiety depression. I am one out of five Americans who suffer from mental illness. I went on a journey to find support for myself, and particularly my son, who lost his father to murder, and 2 years later, his grandfather, my father, died of cancer. He lost two prominent Black male figures in his life in a short period of time. This was devastating for both of us. As I began to look for a therapist, one who he would feel comfortable talking to, someone who understood the context of his suffering, I kept running into a brick wall. I struggled trying to find a Black therapist or even a culturally competent therapist to help. So I called my best friend Tracy, the executive director of my foundation, and said, I'm sure I'm not the only one experiencing this. Where are all the Black therapists? It shouldn't be this hard to find one. I also realized that although I could afford it, I'm sure there are thousands, if not millions, who didn't have the same luxury. On top of that, even if they could get help, would they? The stigma surrounding mental illness in the Black community is a huge barrier, and for good reason. Black people experience direct traumatic stressors, including being heavily policed or being the victims of physical and verbal attacks. Indirect stressors, such as the effects of viewing the video of the killing of George Floyd, and transmitted stressors, traumatic stress passed from one generation to the next. Racism, mass incarceration, police brutality, and persistent exclusion from economic opportunities, including unfair housing and other policies, have created unique mental health challenges and deep mistrust of American systems, including healthcare systems for Black communities. Experts have long tied poor health outcomes among Black people to institutional racism and historic inequality in healthcare. For example, Black and African American people are more often diagnosed with schizophrenia and less often diagnosed with mood disorders compared to white people with the same symptoms. Statistics tell us that about 25% of African Americans seek mental health care compared to 40% of whites. Unequal access to health care and misdiagnoses are major contributors, and this must change. These disparities, among others, have led to a deafening silence. We also don't talk about it out of fear of being demonized or rendered weak. So I decided that if I opened up and shared my challenges, normalized the conversation, maybe that would encourage others to get the help they need. Spread the message that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. I started the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named after my father, who suffered with mental illness after his tour of duty in Vietnam. We wanted to offer tools and resources for those suffering with this debilitating illness. We didn't want anyone to suffer in silence. Silence is not treatment. African Americans are the least likely group to seek mental health services and one of the largest groups impacted. Okay, let's break that down even further. Black children between the ages of 5 and 12 have seen a 50% increase in suicide rates over the last 10 years. Data shows that Black men feel pressure to follow traditional gender standards, such as toughness, fearlessness, and invulnerability to pain. Instead of seeking professional help for conditions such as depression and anxiety, some people turn to masking, self medication, or isolation in an attempt to solve their problems on their own. We offered 2 rounds of free therapy sessions for African Americans when the pandemic first hit. Over 2,000 sessions. 93% of those who registered were women, and only 7% men. Through research, we already knew that men were least likely to seek help. But through this initiative, we experienced it firsthand. So, in response, we offered a third round to Black men only. We launched a campaign and pulled on the support of Black male influencers and media to share the initiative, speak about their challenges, and how therapy helped them to heal. And thankfully, the number of Black men who registered shot through the roof. We had to close registration, exceeding the anticipated number. I also attribute this success to our resource guide, which provides a list of culturally competent therapists to choose from. It's important that Black people feel understood before they decide to open up. Grief and loss has been noted as the number one reason over the past few months that Black people have registered for BLH's free services. COVID-19 has had a greater impact on the African American community than any other group. When I started this organization, I had no idea that we would face such devastating events. I mean, none of us did. Although I believe in therapy and I don't believe that we can just pray our problems away, I do know that God purposed my organization here at this time for this reason, to help lead those who are grieving, disenfranchised, feeling helpless, to manage the gravity of this moment, to break the cycle of shame and silence. Most people look at a celebrity like me and think that we don't have problems, that money solves everything. Not true at all. I'm a witness. There have been many days where I felt low. I just didn't want to get out of bed and face the world. Even now, especially now, I feel off sometimes. Now, I know that I am grieving the loss of routine, the loss of freedom, the loss of sharing space with my friends. I miss hugs. I miss hugging my friends. Loss of work. Well, maybe not so much. But I'm sure you can relate. But with the tools I have now to manage anxiety and depression, I don't stay there as long as I used to. I know how to throw myself a lifeboat. We are all off kilter right now. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay. But the ability to see some of the gifts that also came along with the pandemic, like actually being present to myself, has really helped me to get through, those rough moments. I got back to some of my old hobbies that I didn't have time for before, like creating hairstyles in my studio, playing with fingernails and nail polish. I really enjoy doing this. No. Like, I really do. I almost became a cosmetologist if this acting thing didn't work out. I'm spending time with my son and my dog, gardening. These are all gifts. I do my best every day to stay grateful when the world of social media and politics and all the other triggers try to have its way with me. I walk my little self to my safe place, my studio, surrounded with all the things I love, and I make me a world. Yeah, you heard me. I have imaginary clients. I have tons of orders from Amazon. My inventory. Oh, yeah. There's a whole world in my shop. And I'm just as happy as I can be when I'm there. I'll be like, hey, girl, you want a color today? Oh, I got to fix them roots, honey. Oh, you're going to love this color. I just let myself go. My greatest hope is that organizations like Endwell and BLH and the many other service-oriented frontline workers can pull together our collective energy to help lift other people, no matter what race, to find their own safe places, to not be ashamed to reach out for help, to begin the work of healing day by day, moment by moment. We can all start with being okay, with not being okay. Knowing that just on the other side of reaching out for help is a hand that may lead you to healing. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. God bless us all.